We have another leader with us today, another Green presidential candidate, Pekka Haavisto, the Finnish presidential candidate, here with us from this important European continent. Let us wish him the greatest success.
Dear friends, it's nice to be again in a global green conference. I think my first conference was in Canberra. Thanks, Margaret and others, for organizing all this global green work and these conferences. I was also in Sao Paulo, unfortunately not in Dakar, but this is my third green conference. Yesterday I was walking some streets here in Liverpool, like Penny Lane, and looking the house of George Harrison and art college of John Lennon, and I was starting to think how good ideas can spread, like Beatles' idea, and maybe the green ideas are also starting to spread from Liverpool all over the world. And like Mark Garcia, I also want to express my solidarity and thoughts to all those who are not present in this hall today. First, for the reason that they are maybe harassed or detained, or even some have lost their lives because being green activists or environmental activists. I had an opportunity to follow the Berta Cáceres court case in Tegucigalpa last spring, sitting there with the family members, with the friends, with the villagers who are still fighting for the environment, who are not taken back by all this pressure by the government and authorities against the environmental activists. We really have to think and have full support to these people. And of course, we have to have support also and our thoughts with those who, for the stupid European Union or UK visa regulations, couldn't arrive here today. But we know that the green ideas cannot be prevented by walls or borders. These are now spreading all over the world. You know, I'm coming from Finland. We had our first city council members elected in 1980 in several Finnish cities, and our first members of parliament in 1983. At that time, it was some kind of surprise that the Greens as a movement could get parliamentary seats. We had, for example, one handicapped candidate in a wheelchair, Kalle Könkkölä, who was then elected to the Finnish parliament as the first ever gentleman in a wheelchair in the Finnish parliament. And we have been continuing our success in the parliamentary elections. Now we have 15 seats out of 200. We have had also the Green ministers actually in 4 different governments, in different government coalitions. We have had not only Minister for Environment, but also a Green Minister of Justice and Green Minister of Labour and a Green Minister for International Development and even a Green Minister for State Ownership and even a Green Chancellor of Justice in Finland. So this has been our part. And of course, we also took part in the last presidential elections in Finland. We got 37% of the votes, which was maybe the best result. I happened to be the candidate also that time. And some of you know I'm living in a same-sex marriage or same-sex partnership with the Ecuadorian. My partner is Antonio from Ecuador, and you know how campaigning is. You go to the small locations, maybe places where people have never seen anyone from Ecuador or never seen anyone in a same-sex couple and so forth, and we went to the pubs, you know, where some of the local skinheads were sitting, unemployed youth, and with all their tattoos and things like that, in a karaoke pub, but the pub keeper said, hey, please come here and make a little bit program for these people. And I took the microphone and explained, elections are coming, president's elections and so forth, and the guys were looking behind their pins, us, and a very suspicious manner and not moving at all. And then I said to Antonio, hey, Antonio, could you say something to these people as well? And then Antonio took the mic. He speaks fluent Finnish nowadays, living 20 years in Finland, and he started to explain how it's to be a foreigner in Finland, study, work, and do things. And then suddenly something changed. People say, hey, Antonio, you're a good guy, you are working. Yes. And somehow you were thinking that you meet the most xenophobic, maybe most racist people in the country, and suddenly you were very good friends with them. And this is about what campaigning is about. And as Greens, we have to meet those people who are not yet Greens, and we have to talk to them, we have to explain what are our values, what are our thoughts, why we are doing the things we are doing. On our Finnish Greens program, I think we have always had a wide agenda. Not only environment, but very deeply the social justice issue has been there. We have all the time been having the feminist movement with us, the handicapped people, sexual minorities, ethnic minorities, even Finnish indigenous people, the Sami people from Lapland, and so forth. We have been also always believer on technological development. We have been saying that energy saving, yes, it needs more science, it needs more technology. We are in favor of the clean technologies. We are looking for the new technical solutions to save the world. We are also linking with the entrepreneurs, with the small and medium business community, and we think there is nothing which we could criticize or being against of entrepreneurship in the Greens. And this is our difference from the leftist parties. And as many Green parties, we are also in favor of peace movement. We have many pacifist activists and so forth, but at the same time, we have a realistic policy on defense and security issues, being a small country next to big neighbor and so forth. We have actually in our ranks nowadays peacekeepers, people from the military, people from the police forces, and people, of course, very active in the civilian crisis management. I think security, defense is also something that the Greens has to get involved. And of course, green economy, which was discussed yesterday, has all the time been a core issue in our policies, but at the same time creating jobs, but also creating the basic income for people in the new type of economy has been one of our goals. I think today we are living in a very challenging times. We are looking, of course, to crisis all over the world. We are looking very sad human suffering in places like Syria, Iraq, Libya, South Sudan, Yemen, just name it, all these crises. We are also witnessing, I would say, very unfair Russian occupation of Crimea, Russian harassment of Ukraine currently. We are following, of course, the hate speech that is spreading around. We are following the fake news, alternative truths. We are following, unfortunately, the UK's leaving of the European Union. We are following the President Trump's policy against the world Muslim community and also his policy to undermine the environmental agreements like the climate agreement. I think we are coming in a more uncertain times in this world. At the same time, there is some positive news, and I think when in 2015 the Agenda 2030 was adopted in the UN about the sustainable development, about the coming 15 years, it has climate in it, it has protection of biodiversity in it, it has the good governance in it. I think the Agenda 2030 is also our green agenda. But for us as global Greens, it is now time to speak out. There is an alternative to hate speech. There is an alternative to discrimination and marginalization. There is an alternative to fossil fuels. There is an alternative to climate change. There is an alternative to military spending, alternative to wars, alternative to conflicts, and increased military budgets. This alternative is green.